Okay, step one, you got to get the car up into the air to be able to work on it. Do this however you feel safe in doing it. Basically, you got to have room to get underneath to get to the sway bars. They're buried up in here. And you just got to get access to them. The end lengths. And now we'll move to the rear. The rear is a lot easier. It's more in the open, and the back end of the car sits up higher. So once you get this far, time to start unpacking tools and unpacking your bars. Okay, to get the end link off, it needs an 18mm box wrench on the side facing the rear on the end link. There's two flats that need to be grabbed. On the other side is an 18mm nut, but you need a deep socket to basically get it off, or the box wrench. Now, 18 isn't a common size, so 3/4 fits, but because the size is a little off, it's best to use a 6-sided wrench so you don't round off the corners. Okay, to get the lower bolt off, you need a 15mm box wrench on the back side to hold the bolt still, while you use an 18mm or a 3/4 6-sided socket to take the nut off the front side. Okay, once all the bolts are out, the sway bar simply lifts away from the rear end of the assembly. The one stud on the bottom keeps it from falling, so you just pull it forward, and when the end link bolt comes out and it clears the bottom bolt, it's free in your hands. They do a nice job of packing the bars inside the box, which you'll find is expandable foam. Underneath the foam, there's your bars. You also have the end lengths and instructions over on the left. As you can see, inside the parts package, you get the urethane bushings, all the nuts and bolts, and then all the end link components, along with a set of the instructions. All the bars are individually wrapped to keep the paint and everything on them from getting marred up. Okay, here's a little bit of a side-by-side comparison before they go into the car. I'll measure it later, but it looks like the Johnny OConnell bar is a little bit thinner than the F55 bar pulled out of the GS. Okay, at this point, basically the bar's bolted in place. The only thing I haven't done is torque all the fasteners to the final torque specs. The fun part's going to be on the end lengths. It's almost like you need 3 hands because you've got to maintain the orientation between the top part of the link, the bottom part of the link, and then the jam nut itself. So it uses a 3/4 on the top and a 1/2 inch on the bottom, and then a 3/4 on the jam nut. Okay, an alternative for getting off the end links is you use an 8mm box wrench or socket on the end of the end link bolt, and then use your 18mm or 3/4 inch box wrench to loosen the nut. And that's another alternative, because on the front at least, getting to the back side where the flats are with a 15mm wrench, the space is limited. Okay, basically it's the same thing on the driver's side of the car. An 8mm box wrench on the outside, and your 18 or 3/4 inch box wrench on the inside to undo the end link. Okay, here's the front without any sway bar at all. And we're just getting ready to drop it in place. Here's your side-by-side of the Johnny OConnell and the factory F55 front bars, side to side. Okay, when all is said and done, this is what you end up with. You end up with the sway bar, installed on your car. Okay, everything's all installed.